But I'll probably put you back in the locker room because I think Patty still has to go. Were you surprised the way Conor came out with those high kicks, those spinning wheel kicks?
No, not at all. He usually does a high kick, a spinning stuff, or he does a. I was ready for the rush, as you can see, so that's why I moved back. You know, so it sucks.
Yeah, I mean that's not it. What it is you just tried a crazy move. You tried a crazy move. You tried a jumping roundhouse kick, and when you're in that position, when you throw that jumping roundhouse kick, if you don't land in a good way with the supporting leg, you put so much pressure on that knee. The way he landed, he threw the kick, he jumped up, he threw it, and he landed with his knee in the worst position.
Snaps his foot, and he winces in pain. Fuck! I fucking hate my life! This is one fucking escape I get, and it's shit! And McGregor's just limping around like my fucking man! Fuck!
I had the man weak in the knees, I guess, so. You know, all jokes aside, I just hope he's good, you know. I know Conor been battling some stuff. It looked like he really been changing. You know, he found God. He had his kids in there, so, you know, during the fight, you could obviously tell his demeanor changed, you know. And I was, you know, shout out to the ref. I was trying to tell the ref sooner, you know. Like, this guy's kids is front row, you know. I don't want to see him take unnecessary damage. Trying to stop the fight, but this is how crazy Conor is. The first time he's on the ground, I was punching him. He's like, fight. I was like, okay, that's why I backed up. I said, stand up there. Let's fight. And then he fell back down, and then the fight was called. When I saw him hurt, you know, I was like, man, come on. Like, you call this. He was done, you know, and he wanted to fight. Tried to stand up again, fell back down. I just hope him a speedy recovery, you know. It's all love to him. The man, like I said, is trying to change his life around. So, you know, sending prayers his way.
Yeah, you had a better look at it than anybody, and you identified it earlier. Do you think it was that first kick that he threw?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I did a UFC podcast before I came here, and me and Wonderboy was talking about it. Even with him walking into the octagon, it didn't seem, you know, it just didn't seem like the same Conor, you know. Like, I thought he was still there to fight, but like I thought he'd be a little bit more rowdy, a little bit more crazy. He looked like really, really calm, like super calm. So I was just kind of like, oh wow, let's see how this goes. And then of course I knew he was gonna attack me with something, and it was that kick. So, you know, it sucks.
Dana, can you? I think we're all trying to process everything. I guess, can we get your immediate thoughts? It felt like, honestly, one of the best fight cards of all time, and then we get to this weird main event ending. So I guess your immediate thoughts as you sit there right now.
Yeah, listen, everybody who knows anything about the fight business, and it's been a big topic of discussion leading up to this fight. 5 years off in this sport is rough. And like you said, great card, unbelievable. I mean, the Paddy Pimblett thing right before, you just feel it all in the air. Here we go. I mean, I was expecting at least a one-round war, or, you know, who knew what Conor was capable of as far as cardio or whatever else after a 5-year layoff. And, well, there you go. I mean, we're assuming blown ACL. I'm no doctor, but that's what I figured when I saw it, and doctors think the same thing too.
I was going to ask you, have you had a chance to talk to Conor? It sounds like you talked to the medical team. Have you talked to Conor? Do we know exactly the extent of what happened?
I haven't. Is he coming out here? We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I think he left the arena like.
Then the answer is no. We'll find out when he gets an MRI.
Max said right away, like, hey, man, well, now we got to set this thing up for a trilogy, right? I mean, is there any desire from that, from your point? I mean, you know promoting better than anyone. Like, does that even make sense to do a trilogy right now? Or the way that ended, do you have to go a different direction?
I don't even know. I don't know. You know, you got to take some time. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I don't like talking about making fights the night of the fight. But definitely not.
Nobody expected events to unfold this way, and that is precisely why the outcome feels so hard to accept. Conor McGregor and Max Holloway have a rivalry that stretches back more than 10 years, beginning when both were still working their way toward the top of the featherweight ranks. Their first clash in 2013 belonged to a completely different chapter of the sport. McGregor was ambitious, determined, and largely unknown beyond Ireland. Holloway was an up-and-coming prospect still shaping his style. McGregor earned the victory, continued his rise, and eventually built one of the most legendary careers in MMA. Holloway remained at featherweight and developed into what many consider the finest competitor that division has ever produced. For a long time, a second meeting felt like unfinished history that fans might never get to witness. Then the rematch finally arrived, and its outcome has left the combat sports community truly stunned. McGregor failed to survive beyond the opening round. A first-round TKO, along with reports of a significant injury suffered during the contest, sparked conversations across the MMA world that extend far beyond the usual reactions after a fight. This is about far more than taking a defeat. It is about what this performance indicates, what it uncovers, and what it could signal for one of the most talked about and accomplished careers in UFC history. Experts throughout combat sports have emphasized that the circumstances surrounding this stoppage are incredibly meaningful. An injury influencing a first-round finish creates a far more complicated story than a straightforward loss. It immediately raises difficult questions. Was McGregor entering the bout already limited? Did the injury happen during the contest and completely alter the direction of the fight? And perhaps the toughest question of all, was this version of Conor McGregor ever realistically capable of matching Max Holloway at the level their shared history once promised? These are not insignificant issues, and respected analysts are approaching them with the seriousness they deserve. To truly grasp the importance of this result, it is necessary to understand where both fighters stood before stepping into the cage. McGregor's return to active competition has become one of the most heavily examined comeback journeys the sport has witnessed in recent years. The devastating leg break he suffered against Dustin Poirier in 2021 changed everything. His recovery unfolded publicly, lasting a long time while balancing optimism with constant uncertainty. Every training session released online, every appearance before the media, and every comment McGregor made during that stretch was dissected by both supporters and experienced observers. Many questioned whether the version of McGregor eventually returning could genuinely compete with the elite athletes in a division that had continued evolving during his absence. At the same time, Holloway only strengthened an already remarkable legacy. His showing against Justin Gaethje for the BMF championship displayed disciplined pressure, relentless striking volume, and the composure of a seasoned champion, reminding everyone why he is regarded as one of the most complete mixed martial artists of his era. Holloway constantly advances. Holloway rarely gives opponents a chance to breathe. Holloway discovers the pace of a contest and forces rivals to compete on his terms in a way almost no fighter across any weight class can consistently replicate. His endurance is more than impressive. It has become one of his greatest competitive advantages. Once the rematch became official, numerous respected observers voiced the same concern. From a stylistic standpoint, an extended, high-volume contest had always leaned in Holloway's favor. McGregor's clearest route to victory depended on landing a decisive shot early, disrupting Holloway's momentum before it fully developed, and preventing the fight from turning into the type of sustained exchanges where Max consistently excels. That has long been McGregor's greatest weapon. His famous left hand is not only dangerous, it presents a unique threat that forces every opponent to stay cautious with each movement. His sense of range, ability to create angles, and timing on perfectly placed counters have delivered some of the most unforgettable highlights in UFC history. However, none of those strengths matter if they cannot be applied inside the cage. That is exactly why the injury aspect carries such enormous importance. The prevailing opinion among professionals who have examined the fight closely is that judging a first-round TKO fairly is nearly impossible without understanding McGregor's complete physical condition. Any athlete whose body has endured the punishment McGregor has absorbed throughout his career, especially after suffering a severe compound leg fracture, must deal with physical limitations that are not always visible in training videos or public appearances. Muscle stability, overall mobility, side-to-side movement, and the ability to pivot while creating space under relentless pressure all become critical factors. Every one of these elements has a direct impact on what takes place inside the octagon. They are also the exact areas where an athlete recovering from a major injury can struggle the most, sometimes without anyone outside their camp recognizing the problem until the fight is underway. If McGregor stepped into this matchup while already dealing with lingering physical issues, then what fans witnessed may not have been an accurate measure of his true abilities. That is not offered as an excuse. It is simply the reality of evaluating combat sports. Fighters decide for themselves when they are prepared to return, and those choices come with responsibility. Even so, it introduces another important factor that must be considered when judging this result. What remains straightforward is the impact this victory has on Max Holloway's legacy. This performance further reinforces a case that was already incredibly difficult to dispute. Defeating McGregor by first-round stoppage, regardless of the surrounding circumstances, becomes another major achievement on a resume that already features multiple featherweight championship reigns, unforgettable fight of the year performances, and victories over some of the greatest opponents the division has ever seen. Interest throughout the MMA world in watching Holloway pursue title unification or revisit a blockbuster matchup with a fighter such as Ilia Topuria will only become stronger after this outcome. For McGregor, however, the road ahead raises far more difficult questions. He has repeatedly expressed his determination to compete again, regain the position he once held, and demonstrate that the athlete who permanently changed the sport can still perform among the very best. This outcome does not provide a simple answer. A first-round TKO influenced by injury creates additional uncertainty rather than removing it. The combat sports community will now be looking for clarity on exactly what occurred, how severe the injury truly is, what the recovery process may involve, and whether McGregor still believes he can realistically compete at this level moving forward. Those closest to him, along with the many people who respect everything he accomplished during his prime, will hope he approaches that decision with complete honesty, free from the influence of financial expectations or outside pressure. A fighter's legacy is created across an entire career, not defined by one single night. Yet the choices made during the closing stages of a career often influence how history remembers an athlete just as much as the unforgettable victories that established their greatness. The MMA community is not writing McGregor off. His place among the sport's all-time notable figures is secure, and no individual result can take that away. Even so, the discussion sparked by this finish is likely to become one of the most important conversations surrounding his career in recent years. That is not because of rankings or championship implications, but because it forces everyone, including McGregor himself, to honestly evaluate where he currently stands. This chapter is far from complete. The reported injury introduces another layer to a story that is still unfolding. The debate surrounding McGregor's comeback, already filled with uncertainty before this contest, has now become the central storyline shaping whatever comes next. Whether his future includes another attempt inside the cage, a different role within the sport, or a genuine decision to retire, every move from this point forward will be viewed through the lens of what happened in this fight. That is exactly why this moment carries significance beyond official results or highlight clips. So here is the question to consider. After everything McGregor has endured physically, and after watching his performance against Holloway, do you think a fully healthy and properly prepared McGregor can still compete with the UFC's elite, or has that opportunity passed forever? Share your genuine opinion in the comments. This is one of the biggest discussions the sport has seen in years, and every viewpoint adds something valuable. This is one of the biggest discussions the sport has seen in years, and every viewpoint adds something valuable. If you want updates on every major fight, detailed post-event analysis, and the biggest stories from the world of combat sports, subscribe to the channel. There is much more coverage on the way, and you will not want to miss it.